Should talk about workflow, organization, and timing.
Okay, perfect.
Those are
Let's.
my shortcomings.
Okay, and specifically, and you're still doing in-house, you're just straight up in-house supplementing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going on as far as like you feel disorganized or things just aren't very streamlined? Like, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge right now or hang up? Like, what's preventing you from feeling like everything's going smoothly right now? And we'll kind of identify what's going on and then come up with some solutions for it.
Sure. Well, here's what I have set up right now is we work off of a spreadsheet,
Okay,
right? So I enter in all the jobs that I am supplementing for, make notations, things like that.
yeah.
The, but the problem is it's either backlogged in the back end, like on the older dates because I'm waiting on stuff, and then I'm backlogged on the front end with the new ones coming in because now all of a sudden I'm getting all of these old ones going, hey, I got this stuff, we need to get this out, and so I'm constantly having to go back and forth. So what I'm kind of looking for is just a decent idea of how to how to manage like that part of it to make it flow a little bit better because I can't set specific goals for the day because literally everything that comes in and goes out is all depicted on well pretty much who bitches the quickest and the fastest and the most.
Okay.
So
Well, naturally, you're going to be kind of prioritizing in terms of who's supplying you with the information you need fastest. And we've already talked
mhm,
about this before as far as like the jobs you're going to be supplementing first and fastest are the ones that the salesperson has provided you everything that you need to do it. You have all the pictures, all the measurements, the whole bit. So I really still think, and I know that this is one of the biggest challenges, but the first thing is if we could get all of the salespeople to do their part for you, it won't matter what order you do it in because all of them will be equally ready to go. So I think that before we diagnose the problem, what seems to be the problem, well, we just need a better way to organize it. Really, what the problem is we need everybody to be on the same page from the beginning. And I use an example. I'll use an example that's basically like this. When people misdiagnose the source of the problem, and it's like this. Let's say that you're a dad and your 5-year-old son comes in. He's like, Dad, my room is way too hot. And it's in the summer, like, and you're like, oh, okay, well, let me show you how to turn the thermostat down. And you show him how to turn the thermostat down, but then you find out that he's been opening his windows in his room and it's August. So it's like 95 degrees outside, and the kid is thinking like, my room's hot, my room's too warm, let me open the windows, and now it's 95. So we his initial solution was taking for granted what the source of the problem was. The father was believing at that time that, oh, well, the inside temperature just isn't cool enough. We'll just turn the temperature down. But that didn't solve the problem. That was a surface solution that he saw. But the real problem was the source. The kid's got the damn windows open. It's 95 degrees outside. So we could put together and find a way to organize your job files so that you're easy, like it's easier for you to be able to go through them in a timely manner. But that's not going to solve the source of the problem. So I think that the number one thing we need to do is find a way for us to get the sales guys on the same page. And as a matter of fact, here's what would work, Nick. Could we find something that wouldn't even show you jobs that needed to be supplemented until all the check marks are done? You've got the pictures. So like a file doesn't even show up to you until everything that's supposed to be included is included. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for example, let's say that there's 5 requirements: pictures, agreement, Eagle View, insurance scope, measurements, whatever. But only 3 of those have been fulfilled. You don't even see that until 5 are filled. That might be a way to do it because then when you have things in your inbox, every single one of those can be done. So you don't need to go, which one can I work? Oh, this one's not ready. Oh, this one's backlogged. You just have a pot to pick from and all of them are ready to go. That way, you just go in and go, this one's not done yet. It's like folding laundry. You don't have to dig through. You have to dig through and go, oh, well, I'm only doing colored laundry today. You go, all of it needs to be folded, so let me just grab anything. I don't care if it's socks, underwear, jeans, sweaters, jock strap, whatever, you know?
And the issue with this also is the quality of the pictures that you get.
Well, and that's the whole thing though, is like this is what's so frustrating about working with people, having a staff, is like, guys, just take good pictures. So it's like we have to have some sort of standard in place that they follow, because you're not going to be able to do your job. We can put all the different organizational technology and stuff in place, but if these guys aren't doing the basic necessities for you, none of that stuff is going to help us.
Right.
You can't do your job unless they're giving you pictures that you need, meaning standard, like front, back, left, right, underlayment, showing me the flashing, showing me the overhangs, is there ice and water shield on this house? Up close photos of things like cracks or dents in a window, not just a picture of the window and saying, there's dents, these are damaged. You need those. And so we have to somehow have either a penalty and or a incentive of some kind for these guys to do everything the right way, kind of like the crews. You know how we talk about, Nick, like with crews, for example, it's like, hey guys, we'll give you $1 extra per square if you guys do everything right. Or we'll deduct $3 per square if this same problem keeps happening. We've noticed, because people either operate out of one of two ways. They either operate to gain pleasure or avoid pain. And more people operate to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So maybe we have some sort of penalty. Like if you have to reach out to them for each time you have to ask them for something that they should have, they get a percentage deducted off their commission or something. And make it worth it, like 5%. It's like, listen, if I have to ask you 2 times for something on this claim, and they already know, so we set the expectation first. You guys, on every single claim that you send me, we need A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you send me something and I don't have those, it wastes my time and it plugs up my pipeline. So from now on, if you send me something that doesn't have something here and I have to ask you more than once for it, you get deducted 5% because I have to deal with that and I get paid that 5%. That's how I would do it if you can set it up that way.
Right. So obviously with incentives and penalties, they have to be instantaneous.
Right.
You can't. So let's just say, would you do like every 5? He runs fast.
Yeah.
Let's just say like every 5 supplements turned in, if it's everything that we have. I mean, what incentive would you say would be appropriate, or like a $25 gas card, so that way, if because if you were to do something like that, well, then they're going to want to turn them in a lot quicker, because then they know in their head that every 5 supplements that they turn in, and I accept their supplements, because I can either accept it or deny it, kick it back or otherwise within reason.
Yes.
Would be like a $25 gas card, but that seems a little bit low, because if our guys are out there, let's just say that even our best sales guy goes out there and sells 100 jobs, that's a shit ton of money in gas cards.
Well, then maybe we do something like this. So it's like a monthly review. We'll throw some ideas out and then we'll find better or worse solutions. So here's maybe a couple ideas, is like, maybe you do like an end of the week or every 2 weeks or even every monthly. That's when you assess everything and you either penalize or you reward. So maybe, because this would also be a way, Nick, to incentivize people to turn in more jobs. Because if they also get a bonus for turning things into you, they're going to want to get more deals. But we also don't want to make it so ridiculous that we're like overcompensating or over-incentivizing it. So like, for example, if you had a $5,000 supplement and you make, I'm just going to use 10%. That 10% would have gone to the salesperson, but since you had to ask them more than 2 times, you asked them once, and then you ask them twice, that deducts 5%. If you have to ask a 3rd time, 3 strikes, you're out. They don't even get, you're going to do the supplement the best you can, and you're going to get the commission on that supplement instead of the salesman. So he's missing out on $500. That would be a great system.
Right.
So you get asked once, oops, I forgot this.
That would, Yeah, I mean, because that would feed itself, because I wouldn't take that commission. We would just leave it in the pot, so that way when we're paying incentives, it's not, we're not paying, you know,
They just don't get it. Exactly. So
yeah,
now that's smart, Nick. Yeah, I like that. So now you have this extra funds over here. So when they do mess up, we have the money to do the incentives for the guys who aren't messing up. So
yeah.
either we could put a bonus structure in place, or we could have something like, let's just say, do you have any idea or guesstimate as far as like how many jobs each salesperson is turning in on average every month?
Our new average we want to hit is at least three a week from every sales guy.
So the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to figure out like what would be a decent price point, and this is something you guys can change and talk about later. But let's just say that gas card. That's a great idea. I like that. Find out what trips their trigger. If gas card is it, great. We'll give them gas cards. So per job, we could say like instead of this percentage, you guys got 100%, so you get a $25 gas card. I don't think that's going to work. I think the more jobs they turn in to be supplemented that are presented to you and packaged correctly, we should give them something. So, for example, maybe they get, I don't know, a $10 to $25 gas card, or $10 to $15 or $20. I don't know. I don't want it to be like ridiculous. But every time they turn in a supplement and you don't have to ask them for anything, they get $15 or $20 gas card for every single one. Because if they turn in 3 a week, they're going to be able to get like 45 to $60. That's a pretty damn
Hmm.
good, that'll fill up their tank once a week. So
Yeah.
now we have an incentive for them to also turn in more jobs because they're also getting a bonus, but we're really incentivizing it. They only get that. So basically it goes like this. They send in everything perfect, they get a gas card. You have to ask them for one thing, they don't get a gas card but no penalty. You have to ask them for two things, they get deducted 5% from their commission, and it goes to the house or it goes to you. 3 strikes, they're out. If you have to ask them 3 times, they don't get the commission on the supplement. You're still going to supplement it, but it goes back to the company. And then that's what we're going to use to feed these gas cards. Brilliant. If they turn in 5 deals a week, let's just say they turn in 5 deals this week, and 3 of them were perfect. They gave you everything you needed. They'd get a 15 or a 20, whatever you guys want to do. I'd maybe do even 15 or something, $15. They get a $15 gas card for each one that's perfect. On number 4, they forgot to include something, so they don't get penalized. You had to ask them 1 time, so they don't get penalized, but they also don't get a gas card. And then on the 5th one, you had to ask them 3 times for something, so they don't get anything, and the commission off that supplement goes back to the company. That's what I would do.
All right, let me ask you this. Since this is in your brain,
Yes,
is there any chance I can get you to take it out of your brain and put it onto a piece of paper or something?
absolutely.
So
Yes.
I'm listening to all this, but there's no way that I can go from my brain to my pen to my paper right now on this, just
No
because
worries.
you have so many great ideas flowing. I don't want to.
Well, okay, so I'll write it down right now so that
So
I don't forget also. So basically, we'll just call it the 3
okay,
strike system. Okay. So 0 is the first one. So it's really a 4 strike. It's 3 strikes, but we start with 0. 0 equals they turned in, and I'm going to write this down, turned in everything perfectly. You got everything that you needed. They get $15 gas card for that. 1 strike equals you had to ask them 1 time for something. So no penalty, but also no incentive, no reward. Okay. 2nd strike means you had to ask them 2 times for something. So they get deducted 5% of their commission for that. And that would be on the gross. So if they're making 50%, they'd get 45%. So if it's 10% deduct or if you guys are doing like a percentage, or I'm sorry, 5% would be for percentage of the
yeah,
gross profit.
yeah.
I'd use 2 to
I'm pretty sure. I'm
3%.
pretty sure they're at 10%.
Okay, perfect.
10% signed deal.
Then deduct like 2 or 2.5% for
Okay.
the commission if you guys are doing it as a percentage of the gross. That makes sense. Okay, and then 3rd strike equals They do not get any of the supplement commission. Any percent of the supplement. This goes back to the company to feed the gas card rewards for those who are doing it correctly. If you guys have, 3 deals coming in a week times 15 salespeople, it's going to get gnarly. So we just need to make sure that from the get-go, we do everything we can to get these guys to do their job so that you could, because you can do your job as long as you have everything you need. So right. I think that system that we just talked about, it's got the perfect system for a good penalty, a little grace period, and a great reward if they do their job. And the more people do it, they're going to get used to doing it that way. So it should get smoother and smoother as it goes along. Like, you guys are probably going to start, just be prepared, because you're going to try to implement this first. And the first 2 months are going to feel like a freaking nightmare. And you're going to be like, this wasn't a good idea. But if you just keep doing it, everything will smooth out and it'll become the norm. And that's what you want. Because at the end of the day, the people who refuse to play ball, they're going to be bad members of the team in other areas as well, and they probably won't make the cut down the road anyway. So don't worry about I know what sales guys are like. They'll be like, you let me do more stuff. You're like, I don't want you to do more stuff. I want you to do what you're supposed to do so that everybody can do their part here. You're not the only one doing this job.
I mean, it's not like I'm asking them to go out there and perform brain surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to train the GMs on exactly what I want, what I need, and how I need it.
Perfect.
So that way I don't have to worry about yelling at them or delegating them. It's going to be solely on the GMs.
Exactly. And once a week, maybe during their sales meeting, they join you in on screen just like this for just 15 minutes, exactly like you just said. And you say, hey guys, give them some positive feedback. I really want to recognize Tom and Jerry because these guys have done a great job. I didn't have a single snag with any of their claims. They gave me everything I need. Thank you guys so much. This really helps me out. Now, a couple of you guys, I'm not going to name names, but I keep missing the same things. You guys, I need that underlayment picture, okay? I'm noticing that, and you guys aren't you're not measuring the overhang for me. Moving forward, everybody take notes on this because this is something that we're going to get better and better as we go along, and I know I'm asking you guys to learn a new system here for me, but if we can fix these little things here and there as we go along, everything's going to run smooth here in a couple weeks. By the way, State Farm is now asking me for this. So I know you haven't had to do this in the past, but can you provide me with this code or whatever? So now you got a 15 minutes.
If they're not paying for drip edge up front, we need to make sure that we have photographs of any kind of damage on the drip edge.
Exactly.
We know something is in the valley on every one of these houses. We need to figure out what that something is.
Right.
So if you can, peel back some of the shingles, it's already pot. Don't worry about damaging the shingles. And don't worry if you happen to break a shingle in the valley or on the eaves. It should already have ice and water on there. So we don't have to worry about leaking issues. Just give me a solid picture of what is in that valley.
Exactly. Or things like, guys, I need you to take a picture of the flashing being damaged during construction. Normally I would do this on the front end, but State Farm wants us to provide a picture to prove that it was damaged. So stuff like that. If you're able to, if they're meeting in their own little offices and going through this stuff, and then once a week you get a chance to be in front of them for just 15 minutes on screen like this to just walk them through, here's what's going on. Here's the good news. Thank you guys. Here's the hot news. We got an $8,000 supplement for Jim. Jim sent me everything I needed. He got $800 more on that job. Woo! Celebrate it. Make it a good example. Talk about the pain points. All right, that being said, that's the good news. The bad news is, 3 of you guys missed this week. Please make a note to do that moving forward, and that's where you'll hand out the gas cards then. Jim, Tom, and Jerry all get $45 in gas cards for sending me everything I needed this week. The GM will pass those out.
Yeah, because if you're sitting in a room with a bunch of guys getting gas cards and you're the only guy not getting gas cards,
you look like an asshole, and you start doing things right.
You don't want to be that guy.
Exactly.
And if that guy's not willing to change, like you said, he is not going to change.
Exactly. And that's going to be a great way to weed people out eventually, because those are the people that aren't playing ball in this area. They're also not going to play ball when you ask them to do their final invoices or call the customers on time and stuff like that. So this is a great opportunity. I think that if you can pull that off, Nick, and do that, that's going to make everything go better. And that's every step of the way, not just for your role, but managers, sales managers, GMs, the whole bit. This is what needs to happen, because this is a business. It needs to be run like a business.
Yeah, I mean, if we can help, maintain a healthy balance between profit and how much time we're actually spending on things, it should be a no-brainer.
And everybody wins.
Everybody.
So just do what we ask. But you also don't want it to be like super authoritarian. So you don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's just about, like, you need to do this. Like, everybody hates that shit. But at the same time, they're working for a company. And if they're not happy with the simple stuff you ask them to do, they can go work somewhere else, because they're only being a thorn in your side. And here's an idea, Nick, too. So if they get 100% of their claims, let's say that they turn in 4 or more claims for the week that are perfect. They have a 100% A+ record for turning it in. Then they get a $20 card instead of a $15 per claim. Okay? So, but you want to make it more than just one. Like, if they only turn in one deal and they do that one, well, it's like, okay, great, but you only turn in one. So, like, if they turn in, you can choose what number you want, but 3 or 4 would be a great probably starting point. It's like, listen, guys, if you turn in 4 deals in a week and they're perfect and I don't have to ask you for anything, you get a $25 gift card instead of a $15 gift card for each of those. Perfect. So now there's an extra incentive. It's not like, well, I just didn't want to deal with this particular claim. It's like, well, if I don't, though, I'm risking another $40 this week in gas cards. So nice. We're smart, you and I, I'm feeling pretty good over here right now about what we came up with today.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like being able to brainstorm. As you could probably attest, if you're in my spot, in my position, there's not too many people who are willing to sit down with you for an hour and just sit and brainstorm.
Yeah.